All right, court is calling 2019 CR 4354, State of Texas versus Joe Blakey. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Is that done for the state, Your Honor?
Defense,
Brian Kimbrough for Mr. Blakey.
are you Joe Blakey?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to show you what's entitled Motion to Enter Adjudication of Guilt and Revoke Community Supervision. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you the same Joe Blakey who was placed on deferred adjudication in 2019 CR 4354 for the offense of burglary of a habitation force on June 6, 2019 for a period of 4 years? Is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, state.
Your Honor, violated condition number 5 in Bexar County, Texas. The defendant, Joe Blakey, did then and there fail to report to the supervision officer as directed.
Excuse me, we're on the record. You may continue.
As directed for a compliance hearing on December 6, 2022 in violation of condition number 5.
How do you plead to that? True or not true? State,
Your Honor, the state waives and abandons the other.
any
conditions.
objections?
No objection.
Did you understand by pleading true to violation of condition number 5 that the court could find it true, grant the motion, find you guilty, sentence you up to 20 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine? Knowing that, do you still wish to plead true to violation of condition number 5?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find violation of condition number 5 true. Is there a proposed agreement?
There is not, Your Honor.
All right. Defense, what are you requesting?
Well, Your Honor, we're requesting that you continue Mr. Blakey on probation with whatever conditions the court believes are necessary. While he was on probation, he did until the end of 2022, I believe, report completed parenting classes, paid over $1,500 in his fees and fines. And while he did have some violations on his, he did do his drug testing, he was using marijuana. So he did have violations for marijuana. In 2022, he moved to Bryan College Station where his mother lives, and he lived there with her and did not report. Now,
Did he have permission to move there?
no, he
No,
didn't.
ma'am.
Okay.
I'll let him explain a little more about that, Your Honor.
Okay.
But I do have some letters on his behalf from his family that I've shown the district attorney that I'd like to present to the court.
Any objection to the court reviewing that?
No, Your Honor.
And I,
You-
Go around.
pardon.
Okay. Let me review this.
Yeah, give me a moment. In addition, Your Honor, he tells me that while he was on probation, he was the operator of a business that he ran called Love of the Land, which was a landscaping and building company, which he hopes to continue to do in the future. And he's an active member of the Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church.
Mount
And-
Olive located in,
Right, okay.
Bryan College Station.
okay.
However, you were actively a member of an earlier
Do
church.
you want
right?
to call him as a
I will
witness?
call him as a witness.
All right, can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Joe Blakey.
All right, you're gonna need to keep your voice up so that court reporter can hear and so that I can hear.
Joe Blakey.
All right, defense.
Thank you. Your Honor. And were you a active member of the church earlier?
Yes, yes, sir. I was going to Second Baptist.
Was that here in San Antonio?
Yes, sir.
So here we have a judge laying down the reality check, making it clear that some questionable choices have been made. Meanwhile, the prosecution is out here listing violations like a grocery receipt, and the defense is scrambling, throwing in everything from parenting classes to a landscaping business in a last-ditch effort to soften the blow. But let's be real, moving without permission, skipping check-ins, and racking up probation violations like loyalty points? Not exactly a winning strategy. And when the judge asks if pleading true is still the move, the answer comes quicker than an "I accept" on unread terms and conditions. Bold strategy. Let's see how that plays out.
Now, as I've stated, you did go to Bryan College Station, right?
Yes, sir.
Could you talk to the court a little bit about that and what you did when you got to Bryan College Station, your reason for going there?
Well, the reason why I left is I felt like I was wrongly convicted of an assault case that I didn't even do. And I was still dealing with the
All right, we're here for a burglar of a habitation.
Yes, well, yes, ma'am. It's because you ran a concurrent with my probation.
And is that a misdemeanor? And I'm just trying to get the record clear. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that assault, is that a misdemeanor assault?
It is. It was a misdemeanor in County Court 13
Yes, ma'am.
that I believe the plea was taken after he was placed on probation.
ma'am.
I wasn't involved in it.
All right, so I have absolutely nothing to do with that case.
Yes, ma'am.
So the fact that you think you were wrongly convicted of that case, that really doesn't have any weight here because I have absolutely nothing to do with that
Yes, ma'am.
case. I don't even know any of the facts of that case. So let's stick with
Okay.
this case.
Yes, ma'am.
Before we go there, could you tell the court what you accomplished and how you felt during the period of time that you were in San Antonio on probation?
Well, when you gave me the 4 years, I told you about my business. I continue doing what you told me to.
Sure.
And I've been doing that. I had left to Bryan because my mom was getting sick and I was not really having too much.
Okay, so you're whispering, she can't hear.
Me and my cousin he was getting money hungry with the business, so I had to stop working with him. I moved on to do the business by myself. I went to Bryan to help my mom out and to just to be better, just to get better.
And while you were there, did you live with your mother?
I stayed with my mom.
Okay.
I still work. I got business. I got a job to do when I get out, if I do ever get out.
If you were to stay on probation,
I don't have no problem being on probation.
right? My question is, if you were to stay on probation,
Yes, sir.
would you want to live in Bryan
Yes,
College
sir.
Station?
Yes,
or-
sir.
Excuse me, stop. So
Yes, ma'am.
here's the thing.
Yes, ma'am.
The court reporter has to take down everything that everyone is saying.
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to internalize what I'm saying right now.
Yes, ma'am.
She has to take down everything that everyone is saying.
Yes, ma'am.
So you need to wait until the question is finished being asked,
Yes, ma'am.
even give it a little pause, and then answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Because when she does her record, and I'm able to view it, when she does her record and your attorney speaks, guess what? She has to put his name down and then say what he said. And then when he finishes, guess what? She has to put your name down and say what you said. So everybody who is on her record is identified by their name. Just think about it for a minute. Judge, and what I'm saying right now, she's typing it in. All right?
Yes, ma'am.
And if you all continue to talk over each other, guess what? She's not going to be able to get it down. I'm not going to be able to concentrate and internalize what you're saying because you all are talking over each other. All right?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, Judge.
Defense.
So, Joe, I want you to tell the judge why you believe that you could succeed on probation if you were given another chance. This is your opportunity.
Because
If you would, sir.
I was doing good on probation at first. For the first 2 years. I don't have no problem being on probation. I don't smoke weed no more. I stopped smoking in 2022. All I do is work. Go to church every Sunday. Don't do nothing.
Now, you know you made a mistake going to Bryan College Station.
Yes, sir.
You know, you should have talked to your probation and gotten permission.
Yes, sir.
You could have gotten permission,
Yes, sir.
I assume. But
With the defense trying to paint a picture of redemption, the courtroom turns into a back and forth about church attendance, business struggles, and a move driven by family obligations. But the judge isn't here for side stories. She cuts right through, making it clear that another case has no bearing on this one. Meanwhile, the defendant struggles to keep his responses structured, talking over others, which earns a sharp lesson on courtroom etiquette. Despite the stumble, the defense presses on, giving the defendant one last shot to convince the court that probation is the right call. His pitch? A clean lifestyle, steady work, and a Sunday church routine, hoping that's enough to tip the scales in his favor.
while you were there, you were always under the supervision of your mother, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were not using drugs, is that correct?
No, sir.
And you were working, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you believe you could succeed on probation if given an opportunity.
Yes, sir.
And you have lots of family support in Bryan College Station.
Yes, sir.
Pass the word.
You had mentioned your wrongful conviction in a County Court 13 case. That was in Bear County, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were initially granted deferred adjudication, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then you had an MTR, so that was revoked, correct?
Yes, sir.
So in the past, you've shown that you are, when been on probation, you've had it revoked and then adjudicated guilt, correct?
Yes, sir.
No further questions.
All right. So why didn't you tell probation that you needed to go to Bryan College for your mom?
I had stopped reporting before I even left.
Why? Why did you stop reporting?
Well, because of the burglary habitation, I was going through depression mode because I was still dealing with the victim. She wouldn't leave me alone, just holding my kids over me, telling my kids I don't love them, and I was just trying to be for my kids. That's it.
But how are you there for your children if you leave Bear County? Where were your children? Are they in Bear County?
No, ma'am, they with their mom.
And where is that?
They in Houston.
All right, so I don't understand how going to Bryan.
I had to leave the situation. I was trying to get away from her, but she wouldn't let me leave. And I went in a court order saying I couldn't be around her. When I was on house arrest in 2020, she was still coming over to my house, bothering me when I was on house arrest. We had a court order. She would not leave me alone. Just holding my kids over my head, telling my kids I don't love them, I don't want to be around them. And it's not true. My kids don't even want to live with their mom. They want to live with me. That's a whole nother situation.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, just to be clear, so you felt that if you stayed here because she was coming over your place where you were living, you were gonna violate the protective order, or
Exactly.
violate a condition.
I was
of your
violated with her, but I violated with her coming around me, period. I wasn't supposed to be around her and she wasn't listening.
But you decided to move, but you still didn't let probation know.
Yes, sir.
That was a mistake.
Yes, sir.
Any further questions?
No, for you.
Probation.
Yes, Judge.
What are your thoughts on this case?
Judge, the recommendation is revocation.
All right, what has he done?
Your Honor, as the defense counsel notated, he completed his parenting class. Has made a payment total of $1,583 for his assessed fees of $3,193. And Your Honor, that's basically it. He last reported to probation 11/19 of 2021. I would have to notate, you gave him a couple of chances to come to a compliance hearing and he did not show. Any efforts to get him back into compliance and to find him were exhausted and you couldn't locate him. He was charged with a new assault family second, which is pending, and it's not on the MTR. This case terminated or was subject to term on June the 5th of 2023.
All right. And I'm not going to consider it because it's not on the MTR, but just for the court's knowledge.
Despite acknowledging his mistake and leaving without probation's approval, he insists he was under his mother's supervision, drug-free, and working. The defense tries to frame his move as a desperate escape from a toxic situation, but the prosecution quickly points to his past revoked probation as a sign of repeated noncompliance. The judge presses him on why he failed to report, leading to an emotional explanation about depression, custody struggles, and harassment from the victim. But the facts don't play in his favor. Probation reveals he missed multiple compliance hearings, failed to pay his full fees, and even picked up a new assault charge, leaving little room for sympathy in the court's decision.
The assault second, is that allegation in here in Bear County or somewhere else?
It's here, Your Honor.
Okay,
It's in this court.
okay.
I said something.
No
No.
saying.
No, I just wanted to know, I'm not gonna even take that into consideration. The only thing I'm here for is you didn't show up for a compliance hearing. And you're not showing up for a compliance hearing is from December 6th, 2022. So have you been to prison before?
No, ma'am.
Do you want to go to prison?
No, ma'am.
Then why are you doing things that are telling the court that you want to go to prison? Not showing up since 2022 is telling me you want to go to prison. I'm sorry, what?
I was just trying to stay out the way and
No, because I do compliance hearings to figure out what's going on with people. Because sometimes people, maybe they don't believe me when I say if you have an issue with probation, you can come to court. So I do that, the compliance hearing. So if somebody's sort of tightrope and walking the line about to fall off into the abyss, which is a motion to revoke and maybe going to prison, I set the compliance hearing so you can come in and you can talk to me so I can see if we can get you back on track.
yes, ma'am.
And I don't know if you can, I don't know if you should still be on deferred adjudication.
One thing I would bring out, Your Honor, on his behalf is his family support. I've spoken to his mother on many occasions. She tried to be here. I was on trial last week and I think she came down. I had to reset it but she did give me the letters and I've spoken to her and I've spoken to other family members. I understand why he went to Bryan College Station in a sense, because that's where his family is. Now, yes, he definitely broke the rules and he shouldn't have done it the way he did, but I think that's the reason why he went there.
All right, do you want to give me a trial court certification? Because I don't have one here. Trial court certification of defendant's right to appeal.
We're up.
You're on the wall right over there.
Oh, I'll get it. Was number on.
All right, Mr. Blakely. The only allegation that the state is proceeding on is your violation of condition number 5. Not showing up when the court told you to show up for compliance hearing. I understand that there are some things that you've done. There are other things that you did that were not great. There are things that you've done that have been bad. So I'm going to give you a choice. And the reason why I'm giving you this choice is because globally, I see what's going on with you. I see the issue with the children. I see the issue with the complainant continuing to contact you, even though there's a protective order in place for her not to contact you. I've read the letters from your mom and your family members, and I do remember on this case where we had issues with the GPS, and then the complainant is still contacting him. And the problem with that is, even though the complainant is contacting you, and I know I told you this, you got to pick up the phone and call the police, because if she's contacting you and you allow her in the house, you're in violation. And I understand that maybe you wanted to have contact with her because you're saying she has the children. And I've read the letters in regards to the children. So I'm going to give you a choice. One, you have to be punished because you disappeared on the court. And in this court, there's no reason whatsoever to disappear, right?
Yes.
I will find you guilty, place you on regular probation. So you're going to have a felony conviction. And the reason why you will have that felony conviction is because of you, right? Or I will revoke you and I will sentence you to 2 years in the prison.
The judge lays it out clearly. His disappearance since 2022 is a serious violation, even if his reasons are understandable. She acknowledges his struggles, including the ongoing harassment from the complainant and the custody issues, but stresses that ignoring the court's process is not the way to handle it. The defense tries to paint a picture of strong family support, but the judge remains firm. He broke the rules, and there must be consequences. However, rather than immediately revoking his probation, she offers him a choice, an opportunity to take responsibility rather than letting the system decide his fate. It's now up to him whether he takes it.
So those are your choices. You will be, either way, you're going to have a felony conviction. But in one case, you'll have probation. In the other case, it's prison. Do you need to speak with your attorney?
Take probation.
All right. Defense,
That's fine, Your Honor.
state.
Absolutely.
Now, we need to speak about the underlying sentence. I can just give you an underline. I can say, ooh, 10 years underlying. But I want to see if you all can reach an agreement on what you think the underlying sentence should be. Do you all want to discuss that?
We can very briefly discuss it, Your Honor. if
All
that's
right.
okay.
Yes.
No more than a minute or two.
Yes. And I will be the person deciding the length of probation. So don't come to me with an agreement on what y'all think his length of probation should be, because I am 100% going to decide that and not going to consider a length that you are talking about. But the underlying, if you all can see if you can come to an agreement for that.
And Your Honor, just so I better understand, and forgive me if I'm misunderstanding, just in terms of the time horizon. When I initially had opened the NTR, it had noted at the beginning paragraph that the period of deferred was for 4 years, but because it's now community supervision, it's like a new set of underlying.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
But this would still be based somewhat on the underlying facts, correct, of the original?
Yes, I mean, you all confer and see if you can come up. All right, so if you'll talk to them, I'm sure they'll give you the police report. So if y'all step out and do that, and I'm going to take a brief break to talk to the jurors outside.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. All right, on this, have you all come to an agreement or proposal on the underlying?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that?
4 years, Your Honor.
All right, are you asking me to follow that, Mr. Blakely?
It's up to you. It's up to you, Judge.
No, I'm asking you a question and you need to talk so people can hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you asking me to follow that?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you waiving your right to appeal?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm going to sentence you then to 4 years, and I'm finding you guilty. I'm going to sentence you to 4 years in the prison, suspended and probated for 8 years. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person. Transferred to Bryan, Texas. Was there ever any restitution in this case that was determined? All right. There's to be no contact with Oscar Minor, Minor, Christopher Walker, $1,800 fine. That'll be probated. And counsel, you stated he completed parenting classes.
He did, Your Honor.
Proof of employment within 30 days of release. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. You need to obtain, have you obtained your GED? I'm going to order you. You are either obtaining a GED or either you're going to a trade school. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Or either some level of higher education. There's to be random, regular UAs. Probation, is there anything else? Anything else you need from the court to be successful? All right, did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand? Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we can go off the record. You are going to have to do better. You're on probation. So that means you don't get to do whatever you want to do. Even if there are issues with your family members, you just don't get to leave and go to another city. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Judge.
The judge laid out the consequences clearly. A felony conviction was inevitable, but Mr. Blakely was given the option between probation and prison. He chose probation, which came with strict conditions, reporting requirements, no contact orders, education or trade school mandates, and employment restrictions. The judge made it clear that probation is not a free pass. Any future violations could land him in prison for the underlying 4-year sentence. With his right to appeal waived, the ruling is final. Now it's up to him to stay on track or face the consequences.